obviously when you pass a drive, when you're doing a driving test, the examiner gives you the words of command. So you're told what direction to go. It's not like where you are out driving yourself and you've got to make a decision about what direction to go based on your GPS or whatever you're using for map reading. Well, the examiner on the driving test will always tell you in advance, what to do. And it's roughly about this distance away. You could probably say it's down to about 25 meters, 30 meters. And then they'll give you an indication of what direction to go. So here we go. As you get to this stage, you would want to, first of all, recognize that you've got a hazard situation. And your intention is to turn right at the crossroads, which, when you think about it, the turning left is easy enough. At a crossroads, it's you're just basically leaving to go onto the road that this is an extension of the road you're on, so you're not really worried too much about giving way to anyone except for pedestrians here in this blind side, or animals, for example. So anything here, you'd be worried about turning left. Going straight ahead, of course, and there's no traffic lights here giving you directions. So you're going straight through. So again, you're the boss. You're on this road. You've got priority. All right. So you've recognized it's a hazard. The examiner's told you the crossroads up ahead, or take the next road to the right. You've hopefully seen this warning sign before, and that's telling you that you've got yourself a crossroads situation. That just basically says what it does in a tin. You're on the road straight ahead, and you've got a road that's going to cross your path. Now, they can be governed mostly by traffic lights these days, to be honest. So very rarely you'll get this situation, but it's very similar to traffic lights. The only difference, obviously, as we approach it this time, we haven't got a stop line telling us where to stop, and we're obviously getting a green light because red's self-explanatory. You just stop at the white line. So being given a green light, you then approach the crossroads. Checking the mirrors, of course, as usual. The mirrors are always going to be your first place you go to. That's all of them. And then you're going to give a signal to show that you intend to turn right at the crossroads up ahead. The maneuver part of this is to change your road position. If there was two lanes, it's kind of what we talked about before when we talked about the 2 lanes on approach to a roundabout. And it's the same idea. You're going to have to make a move to the right lane, and this diagram doesn't illustrate it actually properly for me. You would have done this a bit earlier. You're being given the command to turn right at the roundabout from a way back here. So this distance, I would think it would be it's a bit far. You'd be over in the right position by now. So your position is correct now because you're in the position for turning right. You're just off the center line of the road. And as you approach, now the main concern is your speed at this point. So if you're in a manual car, you're going to be in second gear at this point. And then you're going to be looking well enough ahead of yourself to think about what's the next situation. Let's talk about, first of all, at this point, the main points should be covered here when you do your driving test. We would be looking at, first of all, the main points being your mirror signal, position, speed, and look. I'll just drag this back a little bit just to get where we are with that. So you'll be getting marked from about here on the examiner telling you at the crossroads up ahead, I'd like you to turn right. So you're going to be getting marked from here. If you're obviously past your driving test and you would have recognized this sign and be aware of the fact if you're turning right, you've got to change your position. So your mirrors get used then. So the routine is the mirrors. They've got to be checked. And of course, we've got to give the proper signal for turning right. Any international, this is where it gets confusing if there's 2 lanes, you see. So in this occasion, you can't see 2 lanes, but could you imagine if there's 2 lanes, or you may get a little bit confused about that. So we're going to move to the right lane, and over we go, the maneuver part, if you like. So that's the mirror signal position, and the maneuver is the position part. So that's the maneuver part, if you like, is broken down into 3 more parts. The position you have on the road, which is just off the center line. your speed on approach now, which is going to be down to second gear if you're in a manual car. If you're in a automatic car, then you're going to be thinking about walking pace, if that makes sense then. So you're approaching in walking pace. Now, of course, this is the tricky part. And in a crossroad situation, if it was a traffic lights, you would have had a green light, or you had been stopping round about here. There'd been a white line for you if there'd been traffic lights with a red light. So some of the things about traffic lights and crossroads, in my experience, is that most of the time you'll get a little bit, confused by this, because there's going to be lights over this side of the road as well, and here, and they could even be here and here as well. So you've got lights everywhere, really. So a little tip for you as you approach the crossroads, if there is traffic lights, is concentrate on the right light. Okay, so if you're going to be turning right, you probably want to focus on this light over here once you've come over the white line. This is the one that will sort of give you a clear indication of what color the lights are. Once you've crossed the white line, of course, your main objective now is to get into the center here. Now, when I say the center of the crossroads, you can project this white line out here across the road to about here, and your front of the car doesn't want to pass this white line unless you're actually going to turn into the crossroads. So crossroads being what they are, and other drivers being what they are, there's a little rule that you could apply here that will keep you safe for the whole career that you're driving, and it'll also be good enough for your driving test. Okay, and I sometimes refer to this as defensive driving. Defensive driving is protecting yourself from other drivers who are behaving badly, or of course maybe having a bad day at the office and starting to drive through green lights because whatever reason. So the golden rule really, if you're turning right at a crossroads, on having a green light to start with, which would be here, you pass the white line and you go into the position we just talked about. So as you get to here, you're now concentrating on this area. This is your main effort, right? Because the traffic on your left side and right side, they've got a red light. Okay, so the traffic here and here have got red lights, or you wouldn't have been allowed to come into the middle. So you can kind of keep an eye on them, of course, because you get someone doing something crazy, but your main effort, 80% of your vision, should be here. And the reason for that is quite simply this. As a vehicle approaches you here, they will also have a green light. Now, they could be turning this way, they could be coming straight ahead, and they could actually be turning in front of you here. So, as a new driver and on your driving test, this is probably one of the most dangerous things that can happen to you on the driving test as well, and in real life, is you should never really trust this vehicle that's coming towards you. You know what I mean? You don't trust them because they just could be having a bad day, right? And we've all been there. We've all had bad days, but the sun could be in their eyes. They could be an international driver who's not that familiar with the highway code actually, because you can drive here in Northern Ireland for 1 full year without actually having done a highway code test. And of course, that's not nobody's fault. That's not their fault, that's for sure. So they come here and they're driving with a 1-year license, and their highway code might be kind of dodgy. And so, defensive driving, okay? So let's just remember the golden rule here. You've got to this position safely. You went over the white line. Your main effort now is to make sure that there is nothing moving towards you. Now, I'll use the word like I've used this if you've watched some of the other videos at roundabouts. Hi, Shannon. And if you've done the test recently, and you're looking to get brushed up, that's fine. But think about the crossroads as a very, very important part of the procedure for you if you're about to take your test, or if you're just a new driver. Allow the vehicles. You've come into the middle. Allow the vehicles that's coming towards you to clear. Let them go away. It's only going to take you, a minute to let them get out of your road, and let them get out of your road, right? Because you don't trust them, you see. You just can't trust that they're going to do the right thing. So you're about to turn into the path of a moving vehicle, And you just don't want to be doing that unless you're 100% sure that that vehicle is going where it's saying it's going. I mean, you could say, well, they've got their indicator on, or if you're from different parts of the world, they call them trafficators now. But I mean, what does that mean? The word indicator means nothing at all, actually. An indicator is only an indication of what someone might do. So an indication of what someone might do is no guarantees. So on your driving test, then, so as you come up here, if you trust another person's indicator, you could come unstuck on the test. So for that reason, you don't. Very simple rule is when you cross the white line here at the crossroads, and you've come through the green light, you wait here until everything that's moving towards you has either got out of your road or has actually stopped at the white line. Now, there's a reason why I'm saying this, and one of the videos I've made, you'll see on some of the other videos about Larne test routes in particular. There's a thing can happen here, right? And if you trust this rule that I'm making, that you actually don't turn in front of a moving vehicle towards you, you'll never come unstuck. So this bit of information is only if you decide to take a chance in this. Now, you'll have a set of traffic lights here sometimes, right? So you've come into the middle and you've come through a green light, and the traffic lights here all of a sudden go red, you see. Now, that could make you think that the vehicles coming down this road are going to stop for you. You can see how that would happen, right? If you're not concentrating. You come up here and you're in the position to turn right at the crossroads, and you notice the lights here have went red. And so you're thinking, okay, I can go now. Guess what? The traffic light that you're looking at is yours, and it doesn't mean anything to you anymore because you've come into the middle, so your light doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that the traffic's coming behind you is not going to follow you onto the middle of the road. It's got nothing to do with the traffic that's coming towards you. They could still have a green light. And I think that's probably one of the most important parts of this crossroads lesson, actually, because when you think about it, that would be a thing that most drivers could make a mistake with, not just you as a beginner or someone who's been driving for a while. Actually, anyone can make that mistake. In actual fact. So after doing the look and an observation, round you go now. You're finishing the position, and as you turn right in, and you come into the road, you take up your position on the left-hand side. Now, even if this was, 2 lanes, you'd want to come into the left side